After tornado threats and heavy rain and a storm surge here in Charleston, I sit down one-on-one with ABC News 4 meteorologist Emily Gracey, one-on-one, for the special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Emily, it is so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I appreciate this. Yes, indeed. Well, you know, on my way over here, I was thinking this. We had a total solar eclipse a week ago. Well, maybe 3 weeks ago. And now here we are with the aftermath of Irma. Tell me, what got us from an eclipse to really a storm surge in downtown Charleston?
Well, two totally separate events, but certainly both kind of created some tidal anomalies. The storm surge was devastating. We were talking, when we were forecasting, we were looking at this and thinking about how prone we are to flooding to begin with. And so when you talk about storm surge coming in the direction we thought was possible with this hurricane, we were really worried initially in the forecast about how deep it could actually be. So all in all, I think we fared pretty well considering that it did go up the west coast of Florida and weakened quite a bit, because it could have been a lot worse.
And you talk about the possibilities. Let me go back to this graph that you guys had, possible scenarios. It had this, threats, heavy rain and isolated tornadoes. Then it has this one, hurricane gusts, minor surge, tornadoes, and heavy rain. And then another one, rain, wind, and beach erosion.
Yeah.
We basically have almost all of that.
We had all of those. They were all kind of different levels at different periods of time. But yeah, I would say the forecast verified pretty well.
Wow. And then let's talk about the tide. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, poor timing downtown. Yes. High tide, I think, was around 12:30 on Monday. And that combined with the rain that came in early in the afternoon, the surge, all of that combined, it was just kind of a mess.
Wow. And I know that you guys were actually tracking this from, what, August 31st?
It feels like it's been weeks. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. But yeah, we saw this thing coming off of Africa weeks ago. And storms like that, they're very rare to make it all the way to the U.S. as a landfalling hurricane. But when they do, they tend to be quite impactful. They tend to be really big storms.
And I think with what Irma and Harvey, this is like, what, the first time we've actually had back-to-back storms in, what, 2 weeks? Something like that?
Oh, within 2 weeks of each other? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the history on it, but it's been an active year for sure. I mean, I think back to like 10, 15 years ago when we did have one storm right after another in Florida getting pummeled. But I think, you know, these events, they're maybe not necessarily getting more frequent, but they are getting more severe, it seems, with the rainfall and the surge and just the inundation of water on our coastlines.
As a matter of fact, I think Monday was actually the peak of hurricane season.
yeah, Sunday I think was.
Wow.
So yeah, it just goes to show this is kind of when we're in the thick of things, but that's what we should prepare for here in Charleston. We live here in a pretty vulnerable coastline, so you know, anytime during hurricane season we should be prepared for Irma type situations.
And let's go from Irma to Hurricane Jose. Is that a threat for us?
I don't think so, but I'm not going to say for definite no right now. Some of those long-term models, you know, could bring it towards the U.S. None of them are pointed at Charleston at this time, but it's looking pretty unlikely at this point. So.
Wow. And I know all this week it's going to be in the 80s, so it'll be perfect for recovery efforts.
Today was the easiest day for forecasting all week because it is very quiet.
Wow.
There's still some elevated rivers, still some moderate risk currents and some beach erosion and stuff, but overall weather has quieted down significantly. Last week of summer coming up next week. So
I want to last forever.
Yeah, don't worry, you're in Charleston, it'll last a while.
Yes, indeed, that's right. Well, Emily Gracey, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming in.
Anytime.